हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू आवर यूट्यूब चैनल। और आज के जो हम टॉपिक कवर करेंगे, हम हैना आर्डेंट के बारे में बात करेंगे। बिफोर दैट वी हैव UPSC CSE subscription price hike reminder, and the price will increase like after 24th October from 8,000 to 9,000, from 20,000 to 22,500, from 36,000 to 40,500, for 44,000 to 49,500, and for 64,000 to 72,000. So the price hike date, as we all know, that has extended due to multiple requests made by everyone. So you can get your subscription for the 10% discount by simply using this code. So Unacademy Aspire is providing you with the all India free mock test for all civil servant aspirants under UPSC CSE prelims of 2021 paper 1 JS, and it will be conducted on every 10th and 25th of every month, and will give you exciting prizes, scholarship for top 50 rank holders, and it will be conducted on 25th October at 10 a.m. sharp. So you can enroll now for this. Unacademy full length means a mock test paper of JS of JCM for ethics is for UPSC CSE. We have free live classes, and this is a special class, and it will be conducted on 25th October at 9 p.m. sharp. So you can enroll for this class. We have special batches for UPSC CSE Mains 2020. We have advanced batch courses for UPSC CSE Mains bilingual, and we have advanced batch course for UPSC CSE Mains in Hindi, and we have advanced batch course for UPSC CSE Mains and 2020 in English. So the first batch will be started on 19 September, and the rest two batches have already started from 14 October. So you can enroll now. We have UPSC CSE complete batch preparation courses that are started from 19th and 26th October 2020. So we have 4 batch courses. The first one is in bilingual, the second one is in Hindi, and the third one is in English. And the mission 20 for 2022 or 2-year batch course for UPSC CSE is starting from 19th October. So you can enroll for any of the batch course in whichever you are comfortable with. So this one subscription has like unlimited benefits, like you can learn from your home, you have unlimited access to all courses, top educators of one platform, full syllabus coverage, double doubt clearing session, live test series. Study material will be given to you in the form of PDF format. Answer writing session will be done under a mentor and guidance. This is also a one-stop solution to your complete UPSC CSE preparation, because you have structured batches with top educators, batches in Hindi, English bilingual, late night as well as 2-year batches, 100% syllabus coverage, vast range of optional, prelims test series with evaluation, main test series with evaluation. We have dedicated like the doubt clearing classes, daily current affair practice, essay and answer writing practice, sectional quizzes and performance analysis, and along with that will also prepare you for interview. So if you subscribe now, you will get 10% off. You just simply need to use this code. So we have T20 daily current affair test series that is completely free and can be given to you at daily 7:30 p.m. and we have 20 questions for 20 minutes, and it will consist of 40 marks. And along with that, we'll also provide you with the test analysis. So you can click to join now on YouTube, Telegram and Facebook if you really like our channel. So let's start with the Hannah Arendt. So basically, she was like one of the most prominent philosophers of the 20th century, and her work reflected on the basis of historical and contemporary political events, such as the rise and fall of Nazism, drew conclusion about the relationship of the society and individual. And she was a German-born American political theorist, though she was often labeled as philosopher, but she rejected this idea because the term philosopher was referred to the man in a singular, and instead she defined herself as a political theorist, because her work centers on the fact that men and not man, that they live on earth and inhabited the world. So an integrated Jew, that she escaped Europe during the Holocaust and became an American citizen. So her work was basically focused on the nature of power, the subjects of politics, direct democracy, authority, totalitarianism, and Hannah Arendt's prize is also named in a nobility. And your work can be assumed in terms of modernization of nature, political existence, and the pursuit that takes shape as a one she decidingly phenomenologically a pointer to profound influence that was exerted on her Heidegger and Jasper. So in the beginning, with the phenomenal like prioritization of the experiential character of human life and neglecting the old traditional political philosophies was a conceptual representation. So Ardent like claims to make available the objective structure and characteristics of political being in the world as a way, as a distinct mode of human experience. So this investigation like continued in the rest of Ardent's like lives and works, and during its course, it was like persist from her themes that emerged that helped to organize her from thoughts and theme, and such as a possibility and conditions of a human and democratic public life. So the forces that was like threatened, such as life conflict between the private and public interests. So this like intensified the cycle of production and consumption, and as the many issues came, so the addend also like expounds on them and refines them also. So rarely we can see relaxing the inquiry of the nature of political existence, and the most famous work facade was the investigation that was often like considered to be one of the her more original form. So addend's like original outline of the faculty of human judgment was there. So we can see that through this she develops a very like a basis for the publicly minded political judgment, and that can like survive. And in spite of this, there were like disastrous events of the 20th century in which she like understands as having like destroyed the natural framework for such judgment. So we can see that Hannah Arendt was one of the most challenging personality to understand the body of her work in the political philosophy, but she never wrote anything that would like represent a proper like systematic political philosophy. So philosophy for her was in terms of a single central argument that was expanded in a proper sequence. So it was reasonably that her writings include like many diverse topics spanning issues about totalitarianism, revolution, nature of freedom, faculties of thinking, are basically and judging. So this was the history of political thought, and there were many more writings. So philosopher we can see was a heterodox and complicated like argumentation. So Hannah Arendt's like writings basically draw motivation from Heidelberg, Aristotle, Augustine, Kant, and many others. So this like complicated her thesis of element that demonstrated that in the apparent availability of a thought into a wide and divergent array of position in political theory. So like we can see that we have a particular theorist of this thought, and we can actually give them we can actually categorize them, but we cannot categorize Hannah Arendt because she had taken like many viewpoints from a lot of philosophers. So we can see that it may be possible for her to like represent her thought not just a collection of a discrete intervention, but also like a comprehensible body of work, and it takes a single question and a single methodology approach, which can also like inform a very like wide collection of inquiries. So over here the question was the Ardent's like a thought that evolves that this was the nature of politics and political life as a distinct from other domains of human activity. So like her attempts were basically made to explain an answer that was to question, and to scrutinize the historical and the social forces, and to have like the impend the existence of the autonomous political dominant, and have a distinctively phenomenal character. So we can see that Ardent's work was can be said to undertake on the phenomenological of reconstruction of the nature of political existence, which all entails in the way of thinking and acting. So now let's talk about her nature. So her phenomenologically nature was basically based on investigation of a political lifespan, and can be drawn from a deep influence like over the Jasper and Heidelberg, because like the Heidegger basically like had a very strong impact upon the Hannah Arendt's thought in terms of shared suspicion on the metaphysical traditions, and move towards the abstract contemplation and away from all her immediate and worldly understanding of and engagement in the critique of the modern calculative and instrumental attempts in order to control the world, in her emphasis upon to enable plurality difference that characterize the beings as the worldly appearance. So it was also claimed that the Arendt's inquiry like follow very crucial motivation from him in the time and being. So Arendt's like unique approach was a political philosopher that can be assumed from the impulse drawn from the Heidelberg phenomenology of being, and she proceeds neither by the analysis of general political concepts such as authority, power, state, sovereignty, but she traditionally like associated with the political philosophy and not with the aggregate of making a empirical data that was related with the political side. So since the beginning, her thought basically was giving priority to the like the factical and experimental character of human life, and she espouses a very like phenomenological technique, and thereby by endeavoring to cover the fundamental structure of the political experience. So avoiding the free floating constructions and conceptual schema that was imposed on her by the experience of political philosophy, Arendт like follows her own phenomenology that was returned to the things to themselves and aiming to inquire on to make available the objective structures and characteristics of political being into the world, and distinct from the other that was based on moral, practical, artistic and productive forms of life. So therefore her construction and clarification were like constitutive features of her vita activa. In her human condition, the labor, work and action can be observed by phenomenological uncovering the structure of human existence and experience rather than the abstract conceptual of constructions or the imperial generalization about what people characteristically do. So we can see like they estimated with the respect that was like based on the specificity of the political arena, the essentialist, the existentials, and the articulations of the being to set out from the Heidelberg into time and being. So this phenomenology was approached to the political participation of a more general re-evaluation on reversal of priority that was traditionally recognized to the philosophical conceptualization over and lived in experience. So this was based on the common experience and interpretation that was like taken to the primary and theoretically knowledge. So it is also like dependent on the common experience in the form of thematization and giving the extrapolation from the primordial and the effectively we can see in our present everyday experience. So according to like Hannah Arendт, her political philosophy had like a basically very vague role in the relation to political experience. Now let's talk about the contribution. So basically like when we are assessing the contribution of Hannah Arendt in political philosophy, her major works has been the Origin of Totalitarianism in 1951, which actually tried to draw the roots from Stalinism and Nazism in both the anti-Semitism and imperialism. So she was contends that the totalitarianism was basically novel form of government and was different from other and many other form of operation which actually applied to terror to subject the mass population rather just being the political opponents. So this book was like highly criticized by the left on the ground that it presented the two movements that were equally tyrannical. So the Ardent's most significant work was The Human Condition in 1958, in which she tries to like distinguish between the concepts of political and social and the labor and the work. So between all these various forms of action, we can see that she discovers an implication that was based on these distinctions. So her philosophy of political action was corresponding to the existence of political public realm, and that was like broadly developed in this work. Even Arendt like contends that the human life actually evolves within the society and the social being a part of human nature. Political life has been intentionally created by only by the society as a space for individual to achieve the freedom to the construction of the common world. So this theoretical categories we can see attempted to build a bridge of the gap between the ontology and the sociological structures that was like suddenly delineated. So while we can see Arendt basically refers the labor and the work in the realm of social, and she favors the human condition of action as the political that was both existential and aesthetic. So the human condition is basically primarily based on the concern with the problem of reasserting and the politics that is valuable to the realm of the human action and the world of appearances. So now let's talk about the origin. So we can see her most significant work, The Human Condition, was distinguished between the concept political, social, labor and work. And she made like different various forms of action and then discovered all its implication on these distinctions. So her philosophy of political action was corresponding to the existence of public reading, and it was broadly developed on this work. So Arendт basically contends that while human life evolves within society, the social being were part of human nature, and political life that was intentionally created only by the few of these societies as a space of individual to achieve the freedom through the construction of the common world. So these theoretical categories which actually attempt to build bridge the gap between the ontological and sociological structure was suddenly like delineated. So we can see while Arendт also referred the labor and the work in the realm of the social, she like favors the human condition of action with the political that was existential and aesthetic. So the human condition we can see was based primarily concerned with the problem of reasserting the politics of a valuable realm of the human action with the political world. So in the 20th century we can see like under many repeated impacts and like the monstrous and the unprecedented events, the development of technology was threatened to the global existence, and the rise of totalitarianism and the murder of million Nazi death camps and the Stanton purges were effectually like dethroned our existing standards of moral political judgment. So they shared the basis of understanding and handed down to us the tradition. So the Arendт challenged the question on what basis should be judged on this. And in order to like secure its like the possibility of such judgment, like the Hannah Arendт tried to establish the fact of exist an independent human faculty that was unsupported by the law, public opinion, and that judges knows the full spontaneity that in the every deed and intent whenever the occasion arises. So as we know, the Hannah Arendт tries to like represent one form of central moral questions of all time that was based specifically on the nature function of the human judgment. So even Arendт like avoids the determinate judgment that was based on that includes the particulars under the universal rule and that already exists. So we can see that instead she goes to like cancer counts of reflected judgment, and the judgment was made on the particular for which no rule was there, but there was some judgment must be arrived at. Now let's talk about her criticism. So political writings basically like triggered a very widespread debates among many political scientists, sociologists, historians who actually generated a wealth from inconsistent commentary on the variety of subjects. At the same time, their influence has proved very unusual, extending even to the American judicial system. So Arendт like gripped under the criticism for excessively being enthusiastic validation of the Athenian polis as a exemplary of the political freedom to detriment the modern political regimes and institutions. So we can see like similarly there where she places the direct citizen deliberation as synonymous with the exercise of political freedom, excludes representative model, and might be seen as the impracticable in the context of modern masses societies with the delegation, specialization, expertise, and the extensive division of labor needed to deal with the complexity. So a promotion of the politics was just sensitive of human goals has been defined, and by demotivating it as the modes of human action, self-realization to a subordinate status. So we can see like there were also several criticism that have been like leveled on the unconventional readings of the other thinkers, and the attempts have been like made to create conflicting and physiological and philosophical perspective to develop our own position. Now let's conclude this presentation. So basically like Arendт made a very dominant position as the political thinkers in the 20th century, and the work will also like continue to provide a very motivation to every political philosophy in the 21st century. And it was eminent that an eminent political philosopher, cultural historian, Arendt focused her political writings that was towards the investigation of modern political movements, and there were many events and circumstances that lead to the rise of totalitarianism and the omnipresent sense of personal and social and political alienation in the 20th century. So her work thought basically focuses on the aesthetic political character, on the appearance, judgments, and she aims to elucidate on the ontology and the phenomenological philosophies of the political postures and the aggregations in terms of action and judgment.